You say,
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I'm just aware it's like I'm a man on a woman's kind of like program and stuff. And I just want to acknowledge that I am a man.
Mm-hmm.
And some women might be watching this and saying, who the f is this guy? Why is he talking about women and us and our sexuality? So that's a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, although I'm not a woman, I've met a few.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done a lot of research and I studied a lot and I made love a lot. And that was very meaningful and very beautiful, connected lovemaking with men. And I learned a lot from there. And I studied in a Tantra school for many years and done lots of workshops. And although I'm not a woman, there's women sexuality leaders who are endorsing me and endorsing the book, endorsing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if anybody's triggered about this guy, talking about us, just kind of like hear me out and see and try the things that I suggest, and see if that serves you.
Yeah. I want to go back to talking about orgasms because I think that I think there's a lot of confusion for a lot of women around. Have I had an orgasm? Was that an orgasm? What would that feel like? And so, can we just talk a bit more about that? Because you say a changed consciousness, state of consciousness. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do you experience that?
So the first thing to understand is that an orgasm is not a moment; an orgasm is a state. For so many people, and also the mass consciousness, it's like you see a couple in a movie and they start having sex, and both of them come together. It's like so kind of like peak, fall.
Mm-hmm.
But actually an orgasm is a state, and that state can be very mild, so you can just have kind of like these waves of pleasure through your body and slight convulsions and vaginal contractions and feeling of electricity. And this is really what I call the mild orgasmic state, because it's mild, it's not like crazy ecstatic orgasm. It's orgasmic, it feels very pleasurable, and it's a state.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it doesn't just last for 10, 20 seconds like the explosive orgasms, but it lasts much longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's a little bit self-sustaining, so even if you don't do anything, many women think that they have to rub or whatever to have an orgasm. But actually if you get the energy going, you can actually be in an orgasmic state and not touch yourself and not do anything. So it's about relaxing into the orgasmic state.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, doing some contractions and general stimulation and breath sound, movement, position, touch, contractions, and so on. But it all starts from relaxation. It all starts from, I call it like falling into the orgasmic state.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you, after a long day, you go into the couch and you kind of like sink into the couch, and you don't need any effort for that. You kind of go like, that's the orgasmic state. Because so many women are trying to get the orgasm, kind of like using my fingernail. It's like you hear that in their voice, they would go like, oh. So there's like a lot of contractions here, contraction here, contraction here. Mm-hmm. That contraction actually stops them from having really deep orgasms. Mm-hmm. And once a woman, first of all, learns how to relax, she starts from relaxing, she can experience those deep orgasms. And I ask women for their experiences. So they would say, vaginal contractions, what is an orgasm? So I would ask, what is pleasure? How does pleasure feel? So this feeling of electricity around the body, that's pleasure. This feeling of this thing that we call pleasure, that we don't really know what it is, but kind of like a sensation of like, oh, something is really nice, So this is pleasurable. Mm-hmm. But also this can be pleasurable. So it's the realization that every sensation is a portal for pleasure, and every sensation is also a portal for orgasm. So going into those sensations, having that electric waves through the body, having those convulsions through the body. And then you recognize there's stuff going on, there's pleasure, electricity, there's a change of state of consciousness. Because in that moment when you have a wave of just pleasure, for a moment you forget who you are. For a moment you're totally focused on the sensation. For a moment, there's no like Facebook, or there's no what you have to do later and what you did earlier. It's just, oh wow, I'm feeling my body. And that moment is a mini orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say every small wave of pleasure is a mini orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, oh no, it's just pleasure, you will have just pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you recognize every small wave of pleasure as a mini orgasm, you would have many, many, mini orgasms.
Mm-hmm.
And you have more and another one and another one. And before you know it, you are inside an orgasmic state.
Mm-hmm.
And that orgasmic state can last for hours and hours with hardly any stimulation going. That answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds then like we might have to redefine what an orgasm is, and we're so locked into a particular definition that limits us. And so in that way, I guess, because, we talk about these full body orgasms, but you're saying it can be a finger orgasm. It doesn't have to be throughout your whole body. It can just be a very small part of your hand. And so I guess then for women that potentially haven't felt orgasms in their vaginas or on their cervix, that maybe is this a good place to start, is just feeling into what's going on right here.
Yeah, so I say, I have kind of like these memes that I think they're very important, because sometimes, again, as a man, I like to summarize everything into nothing, into as little words as possible. And I say sexual empowerment starts with you. Sexuality starts with you. So it's about what you do. And I know in Cervix, the self-pleasuring is so important. So self-pleasuring, for me, the clients that I work with, I tell them it's first of all about connection. So they say, I tried and I didn't get an orgasm. Who said it that you have to have an orgasm? Just explore connection. Yeah, I wrote a book about orgasm, and there's 8 kinds or 20 kinds or whatever. Forget about it. Just focus on connection. Just focus on exploration. What does it feel when I do this? What does it feel when I do this? And then going through every sensation into deeper sensation and see, okay, if I do this for a while, or if I do this for a while, or if I open my mouth, like what happens? So when a woman opens her mouth, there's a connection with her yoni, her vagina, her yoni opens. So really going on curiosity and exploration. And then, self-pleasuring, going beyond the clitoris, inside, exploring with the wand and with your fingers. And then seeing like, oh, I'm feeling something. What is it? So that the mind might go pain. So instead of calling it pain, just call it intense sensation. And I would say that every pain is pleasure in disguise. So when you look at every pain that you have in your body as pleasure in disguise, I can walk on this pain, I can use the wand in order to massage there, but then afterwards I'll have pleasure. Because there shouldn't be any pain in the vagina or generally throughout our body. One of the things I say, one of my memes, is that if you want to have great sex, learn how to have great sex with yourself. This is the core of my work for both women and men. So it's like, I talk with some women and they say, yes, I will do it. And then a week later, they've done it like once. So it's not just about pleasure. It's not just about sex. Sexuality is not just about sex as well. So it's about self-worth issue. So I'm asking you, and I'm asking you, dear woman who's watching this, it's like, are you worth it to give yourself time? Are you worth it to give yourself pleasure? Are you worth it to really take care of yourself? Because so many of us, healers included, and women included, take care of everybody else. But when it comes to taking care of us, it's like, no, I'm too busy. No, it's not busyness. It's that blockage from taking care of yourself, loving yourself, respecting yourself, nurturing yourself, pleasuring yourself, and really say, I'm important enough, my sexuality is important enough, my body and my pussy and my vagina are important enough to give myself half an hour every day. So really this is what it's about. And then whatever comes up, you deal with that. If it's an ecstatic orgasm that you cannot walk afterwards for an hour, deal with that. Or if it's pain that brings back memories and trauma and stuff, deal with that. But remember that it's not just about your vagina, it's not just about your sexuality, because everything that is happening in your sexuality is impacting and affecting everything else in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also why it's so hard to do the practice, because it isn't just, okay, I've got the half an hour and that's it. It's like, what will that bring up and what will I then have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a pop smear, it's not like that. It's not a. And again, I'm saying it because I spoke with many women and watched sometimes clients self-pleasuring and then guided them in that. So many women get really technical. So there's a disconnection, actually. There's a disconnection from themselves, from their heart, from their body, from their pleasure.
When you say technical, you mean routine?
Yeah, they rub.
Okay.
They rub, so they rub their clit and stuff. And even when they touch, it's like there's a disconnection in the movement. And instead, going like, the movement can be fast, but it can still be connected, if that makes sense. So it's like somebody can bounce her hips on the ground, which is another practice I suggest in the book. So she can go into a very intense expression very fast. Very, it's like you would hear it from the other room or from the next house. So you hear the bed moving by she moving by herself. But still, it can be a connected practice or disconnected practice. So I would say usually move and touch yourself and your body as fast as you can follow the movement. Okay. And also stay conscious with the movement. Don't go into la-la land.
So do you have exercises that help you get connected with yourself?
Yeah. So where do we start? So in the self-pleasuring, as I mentioned, exploration, and then internal stimulation with the one. Again, I'm fully aligned with what Cervix is doing with the importance of internal stimulation with the wand or the other. And then explore, first of all, breath, and make sure that you're breathing to your belly and not to your chest, because many women breathe like this, and this actually creates anxiety. Make a sound, and sounds are so, can we say the F word?
Sure.
Sounds are so fucking important. Good. Sounds.
How did that feel?
Oh, this feels so good. And again, like you've seen, like it becomes.
Now you're really connected with yourself.
I'm feeling it. So sound, it's like I would walk with a woman and she would be like, she wouldn't be making any sounds, and then she would have her mouth closed, and then I would open her mouth, and then suddenly she'd go like, ah. She was like, yes, there was sound there all